So why the suit? No, I'm serious. I bet that's what you're wondering. Well, to be honest with you, it's because a dead guy visited me in my dreams at 2 a.m. in the morning. And that's why I'm up making this video in a suit. If you don't believe me, that's fine. But it's the truth. So, Jspeak Late Night Show. Let's go. Okay. So I'm gonna sit down in this hotel chair. I'm in Dubai. It's my last day in Dubai. I came here for the Cardano Summit. In today's episode, I will be giving a full account of the most, in my opinion, I'll say that, valuable experiences at the Cardano Summit that I was able to extract intel, meet some of the people behind the things that we use, but we don't really know who they are, and so on and so forth. So I'll be giving a full account of the juiciest parts of my trip for you, the viewer. Whether you made it or you didn't, there will be something in there for you that will hopefully blow your mind, but definitely be valuable. I will also be talking about a recent coin market cap. I'm not going to be like the drama person in Web3. Okay. Like, there's enough of that. But I will be doing a Twitter space and I'm lining one up, and I want to be talking about how this came to my attention, why I think it's important for the people that do follow the channel. I think you will find this very interesting, whether you are part of Cardano, Ergo, Radix, or another blockchain that's affected or could be affected. Now, there's some arguments that this is not a Cardano thing, but this general theme that we're seeing just can affect the entire space. Okay, so we'll be talking about that. A dead guy visited my dream last night. Somebody I grew up with. His father was just a hockey coach. He was like one of the earliest coaches I had that really encouraged me to, I think, do something really crazy on the ice. Okay. So, anyways, he also knew how to have fun. Like a lot of people tell you to have fun. And, there's a difference between telling somebody to have fun and knowing how to have fun. And that didn't click for me until I was probably much older. But, he kind of taught me how to have fun. He never said, go have fun. He was like, just embodied fun. Okay. He's no longer with us. So, anyways, last night was the night after we visited the Burj Khalifa. Okay. And last night I was, last night was not too long ago, because again, I woke up at 2 a.m. I had this dream where a bunch of the parents that I remember just kind of playing, hockey with, like the parents of some of the kids, were all kind of talking about just like a lot of stuff that wasn't fun. Okay. And they were debating each other. They were getting each other riled up about news. And in this dream, I remember seeing this guy, right? The guy that is no longer with us. Okay. And I called out to him. I said his name, and he ran over, and he came up to me, and he's like, "Hey, listen, man, what you did by going to uh, the Burj Khalifa was my dream, and I got to see it through you, or like something like that. He didn't even say that I got to see it through you part. He was just like, that's what it felt like. And he was so happy, and we hugged each other, and we just like were hugging each other. And I don't know if it was his dream, his actual. I don't think it was even his dream to like go see the Burj Khalifa. He never said that to me, so I don't think it was. But God bless that guy, man, for real. And I woke up and I was crying, and I hadn't really thought about it, right? Because like when people pass, sometimes you're not in contact with them, like towards the later years, and maybe from our childhood, how much time I was spending with those people, it just kind of dropped off more and more. So I didn't really think about it too much over the past couple of years, but uh, it made me think that, you know, and this isn't about flexing, this isn't about even inspiring, okay? This is kind of like, because I didn't even post anything from that night. I don't like to do that, right? I don't like to post, oh, look how great this thing is that I'm at, you know. Um, I'm not judging anybody that does do those things for inspirational purposes or whatever, you know. I just don't want to be like a show off. So it made me think though that where I come from personally, what was seen by the people that were at the gala was out of was the dreams of people of like where I come from. Like people where I come from, if they saw the Burj Khalifa and they got to go to that dinner with the tables and you had all the like 9 people as you walk in, just like, good evening, sir. Would you like this beer? And then the next person would be like, good evening, sir. Would you like this champagne? And they all had trays, and it was like something out of a movie. And you really don't think about it too much. But when I woke up from that dream, I was like, oh my God, this is what like what some of what people that went to that thing maybe just like, yeah, okay, whatever, this is just how it is. Cool. That's like somebody's dream where I grew up. It might not be the guy that visited me in my dreams, okay? But he did say that it was his dream in my dreams. You know what I'm trying to say? That is somebody's dream, just to be at a dinner like that, Because like a lot of people I remember, uh, like they just like work. They're construction workers. They're fishermen. They just work, and to do something that extravagant is like you know. So, anyways, I don't want to go into it too much. And like the other part I wanted to say though is I wasn't even supposed to be there at the gala. Funny enough. So this is how it went down. Okay. Why the suit? Because a dead guy visited my dreams last night. If you don't believe me, that's fine, but I would not make this shit up. So if you don't believe me, then fuck off. But I wouldn't blame you if you didn't. Okay. Like I would not blame you if you didn't. This is not theater. I'm not acting. This is completely. So this dude named let me just look at his Twitter real quick so you guys can follow him. He is from Ada Ninjas, and I bumped into him. I didn't remember who he was because I was confusing Ada Ninjas with Ikigai, yada yada. I don't know if that's offensive what I just said. I hope not. It wasn't. I wasn't trying to be offensive. Um. So, anyways, Shaz is his Twitter name, so you probably know him. And at first, it was kind of like awkward because I didn't remember him, but then we're laughing, joking around, having fun, talking about this time that he was on my show back in the day. And anyways, he ended up like bumping into me later and introduced me to the new CEO of Jspeak Store, which is Penny. And I'm not sure if we'll be able to do this soon, but I'm hoping to get Penny on to a Metaverse Monday. Beside the point. Why the suit? Okay. Because dead guy visited my dreams. So I was talking to Penny and Shaz, and it was at the Cardano Summit, right? And a bunch of people were like, "Hey Jay, are you going to the gala?" And I was like, "I booked my trip last minute when I knew that I could like, have the funds for it and stuff, and I didn't book the gala. I didn't, bring a suit." Okay. So so he says to me, "Would you want an extra free ticket?" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, somebody just canceled. Would you want a ticket to this gala?" And I was like, yeah. And I didn't have a suit, right? So it was kind of like, okay. So, anyways, he was like, "Well, I might not be able to. We'll see." So, like 2 hours before the event, Chaz, I love you, but you could have told me like a little bit sooner, man. So I get this text saying, "Hey, ticket's yours if you want it. Meet at the Burj Khalifa Armani Pavilion." And I'm like, "Oh gosh, I gotta get a suit." So I'm like at this, I go to this Dubai Marina Mall. I meet this guy, Sammy. He was trying to give me all these suggestions. He was really nice, but at the same time, he was like bantering back and forth with me. We were kind of getting into a little bit of a fight. Uh, and then after we became like pretty good friends. Shout out to Sammy at the Dubai Marina Mall. Nonetheless, he's the plug of suits when you need one quick and you need it hemmed and you need it go. So there was a buy one get one free. Okay, and I took all the money in my wallet. Literally all the money left that I brought to Dubai. And I was like, all right, let's do this. So I got a suit and I didn't have time to pick out the extra. So I went yesterday, which is the suit that I'm wearing now. Okay, this is the new suit. The other suit I wore to the gala the night before last night. Anyways, okay. So I remember talking to Paul, and he was like, "Are you going?" Paul Manuel from Pavia. He was like, "Are you going to the gala?" I was like, "I don't have a ticket." He's like, "Okay." And then he's like, "Well, you'll need a suit if you get one." And I was like, "Oh, I don't have a suit." So there we go. But if anything happens, if universe or you know what I'm saying, like had different plans for it, I would be down to go. Okay. So, and I'm not sure what's going on, to be honest with you. So I'm not trying to convince you that, this is all just kind of a crazy happenstance of coincidences after coincidences. But it does seem like the probability of what happened was kind of low, in my opinion. In my opinion. However, shout out to Sting. I don't wear a lot of suits, okay? And they have a song called "The Shape of Our Hearts" where they're talking about sacred geometry, the hidden law of probability, um, numbers lead a dance, okay? So you don't wear a suit enough, eventually you're going to be in one. I needed a new one anyways because of I grew a little bit. I also just have a different physique. So, and I got two for the price of one. So it was kind of cool how it all worked out. And the main reason why I'm wearing this suit now is because the dream I had when I just woke up at like 2 in the morning was a guy saying that I knew that this was the dream, like what I saw was the dream. And I think we should put some respect on that real quick. We can flaunt it. We can like be like, "Yo, okay, all the the pictures and look at that, how many likes you got." But yo, that's like the dream of some people, dude. And I don't even like that. I think that I'm not like a materialistic dude personally, but I'm just saying like I don't like that that's the dream of individuals and that's it. Like that's their dream, and I just happen to stumble upon that with like a $800 ticket to Dubai and then staying at like a hotel that's not the grand like whatever that was pretty good rate actually on booking.com, shout out to Booking. And you know, it was like way more feasible I think. Uh so I don't think that if that's the dream, it's like so much to go and do. It's kind of like uh I don't know. Maybe maybe I just like I don't know. But nonetheless, I feel very humbled, blessed, and lucky, and I hope everybody else does that was able to attend, or not even like I hope they feel humbled or like blessed or lucky. I just mean I hope they got something out of it because that's some people's dreams that they're living. And you know, sometimes it's easy to always put the bar up and up and up, but I don't know. I think it's kind of nice to just recognize that and be grateful for that. And for people that couldn't attend or didn't attend, you know, just be grateful for that for a sec. So that's why I'm wearing the suit here because I didn't take any photos from the gala. I didn't try to flex. I'm going to tell you all about it. Okay. I'm going to tell you a bunch of things here in this video. But I wanted to start with that because, well, number one, I don't talk about my personal life at all, and I don't want to. And that was like not the purpose of this. It was more so like I'm usually talking about the facts of what the hell is happening. So when I do get a chance to sprinkle a little bit of like gratitude or like something kind of like deep, I it's my I like to do it, but I you know it doesn't it's not like it's rare is what I'm trying to say. So I hope that this sits well with you. Okay. So a couple of things here. All right. So when I got to Dubai, this is my second time being here. Last time I was here, I went to visit almost like a field study or an in-field reporting, you know, thing. It was also kind of a magical that time was magical too. Okay. And I was like, after CNFTCon, I was talking to Ash. I had a great conversation for 2 hours about Virtua. And anyways, I did interviews with Jawad and Carrie Tracy, and I was like, yo, they got a good team here. They're going for like they're going for something big, and it's still evolving. And I've made countless videos saying that like it's still evolving. The Dubai strategy, or excuse me, the Virtua strategy of like, hey, we're gonna like build these minimal viable products and then capture the bigger players too in these different things and bring them on board and bring them into the metaverse as partners so we can actually transition from web 2 to web 3. And it was kind of like really cool because I met a bunch of different people in their office. I met the accountants, the lawyers. I met, you know, some of the copywriters that were also AI, you know, like statisticians and analysts. And I was like, and they were data scrapers and they were educating me on all these different things. And it was kind of cool to just go around and talk to Jawad, the CEO. And Dubai is an amazing place. Okay. I suggest you go. And I went to an Algorand Foundation meeting because of Jawad, actually. So thank you again. And I got to talk to some of the Algorand Foundation people. I got to talk to the Crypto Oasis people. If you don't know about Crypto Oasis and, you know, Algorand, okay? So anyways, the point of me saying this is because I kind of started the trip off with revisiting a couple of those folks from Virtua, and I just wanted to say thank you. And I'm actually really, it feels like something big is coming. Um, because Virtua has been pushing and pushing and pushing and continuing to evolve. So I'm excited to see the future. I didn't, no alpha or anything like that. Just was nice to nice to catch up. But it does, yeah. So we'll be looking more into them. A lot of the metaverse projects haven't been around as long as Virtua has, and haven't had the time to think about what they want to actually make and build as much as Virtua has. So for whatever that's worth, I think their vision is it's 2020, baby. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay. So I tried to connect with a couple of people like Umar from the Cardano Foundation. Shout out to Umar. Umar, I'm sure you're busy, and maybe you didn't see it or get a chance to message me back. We were going back and forth at first, and I thought that I needed to book a ticket for the what's it called, the first day of the summit. So I was scrambling. I was like, "Hey, is there any extra tickets?" And he never got back to me. And so I was like, "Okay, fine. I'll just show up to the event." And boom, there was a registration desk. No worries. It's all good. You come to Dubai, it's like, I hope that they just let you in for free. And they did. So anyways, the other thing that I wanted to mention there though was I couldn't go to the networking soiree because you did need a ticket, didn't book one in time. And I was able to actually meet up with those people from Virtua at the same time. So that was kind of cool because it just kind of worked out. So there was a lot of like leaving it up to chance and fate, honestly, in this trip, which was kind of fun and refreshing. And if you don't do that often, I do. I love to do that kind of thing. I'm kind of fly by the seat of my pants and make magic happen kind of dude. But I like to MacGyver my way into in out of situations. But some people are more of the script. They want to prepare the script. They want to have it. They want to read it. They want the teleprompter. They want to know everything before it happens. They want to be a psychic. I just like to be surprised by the unfolding events. Okay. And I think that that's the real, to so meta, but that's sometimes the real way to have fun. Like, I mean, there's nothing more fun than being surprised in a good way. So for whatever that's worth. Okay. First day of the summit, nobody really was, a couple of people, Dan Friedman, for example, he actually recognized me. Not many people recognize me, I'll be honest, which is good because I like to kind of keep that low profile. If you saw me in Vegas, you saw that I was wearing like some funky hat. And I like to do that because I like to see what people treat people like first impressions without any bias. But after I talked to a bunch of people, they started to be like, "Oh yeah, I've seen you on Twitter, or I've seen your videos," you know. And because I've made a lot of videos, I made like 500 to like 800 videos on Cardano specifically as it was building, and it's all there on my YouTube channel, and you can see that journey. You can see me look at different sections of Cardano, from NFTs to actual NFT projects to interviewing actual NFT founders to actual like, okay, what's this Atala scan, part of Atala Prism, which is like supposed to be for like, NFC chips where they're having two antennas, one that's breakable and one that sends, a signal to the blockchain. So when the first antenna breaks, electrical current goes to the second, yada yada, sends it to the blockchain. This is for counterfeit goods, things like fine wine or pharmacy, medicine. If somebody tampers with your medicine in the supply chain, wouldn't you want to know? So that way if you're prescriptions for 30 milligrams per pill, you're not getting like 5. Anyways, that's not even talking about Project Catalyst, reviewing proposals, you know, just more of that like anti-fragile, almost kind of like can't see it, can't feel it, can't touch it, but it is a concept that everybody should know with governance. Anti-fragility. Shout out to Door, spending time researching him before he went to Kickstarter, right? Even spending time with some of the Catalyst Circle members, okay? I remember, I think it was Amy something was the first Catalyst Circle, one of the first Catalyst Circle members. So the first Catalyst Circle. If you don't know what I'm even talking about, that's how deep I went. You had all these things happening in the metaverse at the time. You had, okay, how are 3D modelers going to bring things into your metaverse environment, Pavia? So they had to create standards. Which file format do we want? You also had things going on with the Vassal hard fork, right? So you had diffusion pipelining, okay? And input endorsers were being talked about back then, but obviously that's going to be a difference. Like that might take a bit, and that's a L1 scaling upgrade that will make a tremendous difference, in my opinion. Right now, we have one block that is responsible for both consensus and transactions, but imagine we keep that, and then we have a block just for transactions and just for consensus. So the heartbeat goes, but the transactions flow. You can have way more of those almost per consensus block than if you try to put everything in one, you know? So Hydra, talking to people like Colin, who are at the real infrastructure level of Hydra, the Hydra family, the Hydra ecosystem. Just all sorts of things, man. From my first interview with Alessandro, which was a huge, that was kind of cool because he was working on some that I was talking about, and it was called dynamic NFTs, and I didn't really know he was working on it. But when he started to talk about SIP68, I became this massive fan of his. And then Nebula too. I have so many videos on Nebula. Watching the Ape Society rise was interesting too, and seeing a real decentralized community with actual people that are manufacturers. Like some of the Ape Society community is like they actually manufacture goods and stuff. They're just low key. And having Discord Zoom calls offline with those kinds of people. They're starting their own little things in Web3, and obviously Web3 infrastructure isn't there yet for entrepreneurs, but it will be, and that aren't technical, and it'll be great. So the point is, I've made a lot of videos on Cardano, okay, a lot. So people know me from all these different things, and they have these different impressions of me, but I've really covered it all. Like, there's not too many things, DeFi, NFTs, metaverse, AI, I haven't covered. So I've seen a lot, and I've met a lot of different people along the way, but usually people stay inside their own bubble, or they're here for this reason or that reason, or they're part of the Cardano Foundation, or they're part of this. So they don't actually like know that I do more than what I just showed up one day. So I was at this Cardano Summit thing, and it was like day one, and I'm walking around, and okay, lunch is happening. A lady's coming out, and she's like, "Hey guys, everybody, come go to the lunch. Go to the tent down the road for lunch." So I'm walking in there. I got my scarf on. I got my backpack. I got my hat. I'm like the only dude wearing shorts in the entire summit. Like everybody's wearing like nice suits, or like I didn't get the memo, dude, or something. But I was wearing shorts because it's hot as fuck in Dubai, dude. So, anyways, another reason why I'm wearing the suit today. Hey, in my humble hotel room. So, it's kind of interesting because when I was walking into that place with all the lunch, I didn't really know who to sit with. And I made eye contact with a few devs. Like I saw Sebastian, but he was kind of busy. And I really want to actually do more content with him because he came up to me later in the event, even though he was busy, like he had to go inside and stuff. And he took some time to be like, yo, because he's like on the second ever Jspeak podcast, which I started over the last few months. And I wanted a guy like him there because I do believe that he has got a lot of potential, like just a lot. And he's exploring the on-chain gaming stuff, but not in like the L1, which kind of threw me off because I was like, oh man, we're gonna have such cool on-chain gaming stuff on the L1. But I mean, the way that Pyama's just been growing and growing and growing, it's gonna. I'm not like one of those guys that says, oh, only that's gonna work, or oh, only off-chain NFTs will work. I'm like one of those guys that says, yo, let's find the potential in all these different verticals. Let's see who's building the best because we don't want to like stifle any ideas. And a lot of people believe that the direction he's going is the only way. I disagree, but I also think that it is an interesting pathway. And I think that autonomous worlds very interesting. So I'll put that in there. Anyways, I ended up finding a seat and I saw someone make eye contact with me. Didn't really notice who I was at first, and then took a second, like a double take, and they were like, oh, and then I was like, oh, and then I sat with John. So John was from the Goat Tribe. Okay. And I saw him at Vegas and at Rare Evo. And, I don't know if he knows me very well because he was asking me, like, hey, man, are you going to get some content? And I was like, oh, bro, I'm trying to, like, keep a low. I'm trying to get that, like, intel, dude. I'm not trying to, but I am trying to get content. It's just, like, not on the first day. I'm not out there trying to just film every little thing that moves, right? I'm kind of trying to find the key moments to strike. So it was cool though, because I did sit with him and he was talking about the UNCR. And shout out to that dude that makes the 3D modeled worlds. You know who you are. I just forget the person's name. I was talking to them, but they're actually working for the UNCR, I think, on a little thing or like a project or something. So the UNCR is also tied into the United Nations stake pool. So I think they are actually behind the infrastructure for the UN. If you didn't know, the UN has a stake pool on Cardano. That's the UNCR. So he's telling me some cool things, which was nice. And he had some alpha on some stuff that I forget, to be honest with you. So John, if you're listening, then feel free to comment some of those extra things that you said that I should check out. If you're not listening, then don't comment. And that's how we'll know. Okay. So anyways, man, I was kind of like, okay, word. He had to go early, so I was just sitting alone. And then I finished my meal, and then I was walking out, and boom, Paul Manuel, like just bling, pops out of nowhere. So I see him, we sit, we talk, we chat, and it was a couple of things I posted on Twitter. You can see that. So that was one of the guys that I actually really wanted to see. And I just wanted to mention that because sometimes you got to sit alone before you actually sit with the people that you want to. So for whatever that's worth. I also saw this robot. It was Desi. Shout out to Desi. If you're watching, you're a robot. I know, but it's okay because you're rocking people's worlds. She said that she's here to rock people's worlds. She's a robot. She's part of Singularity. I went up to the different people from Singularity. I've met Haley like 3 times. She didn't every time. I say, hey, good to see you. I get it. She's always like, who are you? But that's okay. That's okay, Haley. It's all good. Whatever. So, and she's really nice. And I saw Janet. Janet actually knew my name. So, or she said, hey, Jay. But with a little bit of like, oh, I hope that's the right way to say it. So we're getting known out here. It's going to take some time, but I always love Janet's leadership abilities. If you watch the Singularity videos, she's great at like just kind of keeping the group going, and being that she's like a real, we used to call them, well, she's a glue girl, but we call them glue guys because like some people just have that effect. They can kind of keep things together. I try to have that too. So when I see somebody else do it really well, I'm always like, ooh, that person, that person's doing that. Like that, like is kind of cool, you know? And it's so good. It's so good. Um, so I really admire that. Nonetheless, she had to go. I talked to Desi. We filmed the robot. You can go to my Twitter. You can see that conversation. We were talking. We were having fun. I was getting into some deep conversation with Desi actually, and she started singing actually, and we talked about some dark stuff too. So it's all in X. Okay. After that, I kind of just was like circling around for a bit on day one. Not much to do, waiting for any kind of thing if anybody was doing stuff. And I ended up just going home and going to sleep. I guess some people were going to the desert, and I didn't book like a ticket. And there was a line to book a ticket, but I was like, you know. Oh, I did listen to Zygomeb on and Matthew Ploman and two other people that I didn't remember their names. Sorry. And they were on a panel, and it was cool to hear Zygomeb in action because if you haven't heard him in action, like you haven't heard him, dude. Like this dude is so charismatic and like able to just like back whatever his point is. He'd be like, but he's not like one of those hardcore like debate people. It's like he's able to kind of get the room like on his side with his opinion, and he's like magnificent. So it was cool to watch him, dude. I'm not gonna lie, like it was cool to see him in action. So uh, that was day one. So day two happens, and anyways, I'm gonna take a quick break. Okay, I just had to find some. So you see this? Day two happens, and I wore jeans this time. So I wasn't in shorts, I was in jeans, and I still had a nice scarf on, and I had my nice shirt on. That was just black shirt, whatever. Those two guys, though, were the first people that I had a conversation with on day two. And those two guys were networking, were kind of, maybe looking for funding opportunities. And they were the type of, you know, this is what I say, guys, okay, on my channel constantly. There are a few different categories of projects that I'm interested in. First of all, I'm mostly interested in just sharing. I don't know. I just think I think that to do this thing that I do, whatever you want to call it, there's a real responsibility to be a bit selfless because it only works if you are like like it only works if you're really trying to figure out, okay, where is this all going, and like what's gonna win, or like what different things are gonna win, you know. So I think that it takes a lot. And one of the things that I've been focusing on, to the detriment of my channel, but it doesn't matter because it's the bear market, and a lot of people are getting less YouTube views anyways, but I don't care. I still see YouTubers killing it. So it's all good, but I chose to focus hardcore on the tech. I'm not like a developer, right? I have no interest in being one. However, I learned a little bit of coding. Like I learned how to get a code editor. I learned, you know, a little bit of Git, how to push something to GitHub in a clunky way. I watched hours and hours and hours and, days, even like weeks of educational resources on servers and just all this different infrastructure, even LLMs, because my main thesis around blockchain, metaverse, AI. So obviously, if you're in Cardano for a while, you start seeing things that make you want to like learn about the tech. Maybe it's an arbitrage bot that some developer with a competitive advantage because they could set one up is, able to sort of do some arbitrage, and you didn't know about that, and then all of a sudden there's a controversy about it and you learn about it. But for me, I like understood all those things, like, not to sound arrogant, like I knew those things were like happening when like people didn't, because I spent a lot of time on Cardano's tech, and also like talking to developers about the latest edges they're getting on tooling, because I believe the age of infrastructure is around building tools to build the tools. That's a great quote by, I think it's by a few people, but the one I hear say it the most is Darlington from Lido Nation. So, but the age of infrastructure I coined, that was my term. So screw anybody else that says that was theirs. But anybody can use it. Like, I don't care. So build the tools to build the tools. If you think about that for a sec, that's what we've been doing, man. So build the tools to build the tools for devs to use those tools. So these two cats were awesome. They really knew their stuff. And they haven't like talked about their protocol publicly, or I think they were being pretty low key, but they were already talking about transaction chaining, right? So if you're familiar with AXO, then you know. So they were already talking about some interesting angles on order books too. Now, AXO is not open source. Okay, I made a tweet the other day. I was excited. I said, I don't say this often about DeFi, but sorry if that offends you, but AXO blew me away. And I said that, and then I was like, well, actually, hold on a sec, because I also like supporting open source stuff, but it's like, the amount of money they had to probably put towards an effort towards their proprietary tech for an order book is vast, and they're their own business. So, and I'm not, I haven't touched any AXO tokens or anything. It did blow me away what they could create on Cardano, and that's still true, right? The different strategies, they got like 50 million different strategies that you can just set, forget programmatically. It works like it does on testnet. I saw it for DCAing. I wanted to set up some things, but Mark didn't know how. I didn't know how either. So I was trying to figure. Yarrick would have known. So maybe we'll do something with them again, because I was supposed to film with you, Mark, and you kind of we kind of like, I don't want to say you shafted me. I was going to say that, but that's not really what happened. It was kind of just late. I could tell that you guys were kind of out of it, and it was like towards the end of the event and stuff, and I think I was getting tired personally, actually, to be honest. So I was about to go, so we didn't end up doing our laptop sesh of AXA, but that's okay. A lot of people got footage, so it doesn't really matter. Anyways, these two cats were on it, man, because Cardano is built for order books until it's not, I like to say, but until some other, some new ideas come to the space, let's say. But order books is a much more, I think, viable direction for dexes and peer-to-peer, right? Because some of these things that we talk about when we understand the tech come up in conversations like these. And for me to actually understand, if they understand, I got to understand, And that's how I am like, oh, I want to pay attention to these guys, because these guys actually know what they're talking about. They're not just saying some BS. So one guy was a designer, which I didn't even talk to really, but he was the guy that I think took the photos. So shout out to him. He was a wicked nice guy, and he's probably a great designer. He looks like a great designer, but you're a great designer if you're watching. But the other guy was the tech guy, and he was kind of like, more of a, okay, I'm impressed by this cat. Like, he knows what he's doing. So they were talking about some things, and this is like where I'm so agnostic to things, because I did go through a phase where I was like, open source, like I was seeing the value in it. I was trying to present, okay, what is the value in open source? What is the value in decentralization? But the more you know, the more blurry it gets. Because the more the system can handle, the better for decentralization, if that makes sense. So if it can actually be a better TradFi system than traditional finance and it's more transparent, but it has like so much more to offer to TradFi than TradFi, that's actually better for decentralized. Anyways, we won't go into it. So recently I've been thinking about, okay, well, how do you get the Black Rocks and like some of these hedge funds like really into Cardano? And somebody answered my question like without even having to ask it, because I did an interview with Casey, which is still pinned. I'll probably unpin it to pin this, but you can look at my last podcast, number 6, with Casey. He was an open source senior software engineer for the Cardano Foundation and so much more. And he actually has a really interesting set of motions that, if are made by the entire Web3 space, I think we will see more TradFi coming into the space. So take that for whatever it's worth. If you're enjoying this, by the way, guys, a lot of people aren't going to watch the full thing. So can you just comment and say it's worth the watch if you think it is, and retweet too. So anyways, it would help. It would help, but no pressure. Just enjoy. Just enjoy. No pressure. You don't have to do it. Okay, it's all good. It's all good. So nonetheless, shout out to Dan Friedman again, because he was, somebody that recognized me, and I'm pumped to talk to him actually. Okay. So a lot of people came out to me about Radix. They were like, "Hey Jay, I'm glad that you're covering it. Thank you for covering it." So that was kind of cool. Those two guys I showed you are building something. So, or they're like starting to think about building something, but they have their ducks in a row. I stopped by the Axo booth, blown away. MinSwap booth, I will say their V2 looks really interesting. And I like how they're actually making a prod version to actually create revenue from like extra features. I think that's good for them. I think it's going to be healthy. And they're open source, at least one of their versions is. I don't know if their current one is. So we'll see. And I don't know if their pro will be, but we'll see. I like how they open sourced. Somebody is saying something. All these people want to. I have an idea I'd like to run by you, if you think it could work. Yeah, I used to do a lot of those, but I just don't have time for that right now, man. So I'm trying to do a video. I'm literally recording right now, brother. Okay, who else did I see? I'm just looking through my DMs. Penny. Yeah, so those two booths, I met a guy named Sheldon from Intersect. So if you don't know, I've gone through a whole phase with governance. I was one of the first YouTubers to cover SIP 1694 before it was cool. Got very little views. Not saying that to flex, I'm just saying that because it's true. I didn't get many views until I posted something and Charles retweeted it, which was like a 10-minute review of like, okay, the actual SIP. And nobody was talking about it at the time. 6 months later, whatever, people just started blowing up about it, and then like almost like 8 months later, I had the person that wrote that SIP on a podcast, K Tours. So shout out to K Tours, man. But Intersect is basically like that members-based organization, and they're like 12 weeks running. They got warm bodies, people can start going and maybe thinking about being a D rep. That was a cool combo. He took some time to talk to me, so that was cool. I talked to a guy about Marlowe. He was saying that I was like, hey, is there any convergence between Icon and Marlowe? Because if you remember, Lucas mentioned something, and so did Casey, I think, on a convergence. So I said that to see if he would say anything, and he said that there's some interesting things, but nothing like major. However, what was also something that he couldn't reveal is I was like, which products are being built with Marlowe? And I know that there's not many that have used Marlowe that are in production, let's say. So like, I wanted to see if there's any like, okay, which products can we look at that have used it? And that was when he was like, well, there are some, but I can't say. So that was another combo. There was an ADA handle almost like competitor, but they don't want to compete with ADA handle. they're a bit more decentralized where the minting happens in a smart contract too. So it's not like a custodian has to like give you your handle. And that was kind of cool because they have a whole link tree framework behind the handles. I think it's like CNS domains or something, but it was kind of impressive. I was talking to this gal and she was like giving me the lowdown. She's like, and I was like, hey, are you guys going to have to reserve projects handles? And they're like, oh, yes, of course. We will reserve some. I was like, yeah, because I remember Ada Handle like how to do that because you don't want like some doofus buying like Charles Hoskinson CNS and like Charles be like, hey, or like not even Charles, but like a project and stuff. And they were kind enough to offer to reserve mine. Anyways, the flow of that whole thing, I couldn't end up doing it because a bunch of conversations happened and I saw Zygomev on stage, so I went over to him, yada yada. But that was a cool one. Yeah, I had a really cool combo with that guy. I forget his name, but he's the guy that makes the worlds and the yoga poses. Shout out to you. So saw Sebastian. I saw Lena from Clay Nation. Lena from Clay Nation never actually told me where the drinks were after the gala, but that's okay. Because at the time, she probably thought I wasn't going to the gala because neither did I. So anyways, because that was a DM I was just looking at. So I bumped into Lena. We were talking. I was like, hey, can we do a quick film sesh on Clay Nation? And then they're like, oh, I got a meeting. And then it's like, oh, too bad. And it's like, can you do one after? And it's like, oh, I'm about to go. And then it's like, are you going to the gala? And I was like, no, I'm not. And it was like, well, there might be drinks after. So hit me up and I will definitely let you know where we'll be. So then I did before I knew I was going to the gala because I knew 2 hours before, as you guys know. And essentially, we'll have to do something with. I really wanted to do something with Lena and some of the devs from Clay Nation building their metaverse eventually. But yeah, this guy, Crypto Cowboy, DM'd me actually, and he's got a Clay on. So that's also a thing. He's like, see if you think it could work. So Crypto Cowboy, if you watch this, dude, just tweet. Sometimes you gotta just tweet the idea out, bro. You don't even need me. You don't even need me, dude. In fact, like most of the people that say that, like, hey, I got an idea, let me run it by you. I recommend open sourcing it because an idea ain't the value. The value is the execution, right? I give out ideas for free all the time on purpose. So that's what I would say. And I'll send him this video to watch. And if he watches the full thing, then maybe I'll watch, maybe I'll hear his idea. But so anyways, man, this is what happens, okay? There is a bit of like, I go back home, I go, get my suit, yada, yada, meet Sammy, Dubai Marina Mall at this other hotel. I scramble, I'm like 30 minutes late to the gala. Boom, show up, like 10 people just on each side with different drinks on plates. Hey, sir, would you like this? And then you have to, like, what is it? And then, so then eventually you go, and I recall hearing that my table was 36 to like 56, and I didn't really know if table 36. Okay, perfect. So I go to table 36, and I was like, all right, but everybody's, the table's full. This is supposed to be my seat, MFers. So I'm like, hey, listen, guys, I'm on table 36. They told me. And I meet these guys that built like a Cardano exhibition center in Cape Town or something, and it was all Catalyst funded with 100 grand of Catalyst funding, and they built it. They basically just redesigned the interior and made it purposed. So all that stuff, and they want to do more of it, but they actually got it accomplished. And I was talking to them, and they seemed pretty legit. And then they kicked me out of their table, and I was like, well, okay, where am I gonna go, right? Because they were all there. I kind of kicked someone out of his seat first. I was like, listen, this is my seat. I'm not messing around, dude. I got this suit. I finally got to this gala. I'm not gonna mess it up. All right. I need this seat. And then eventually they kind of explained to me that what they meant by table 36 to 256 was actually that any seat in between those tables. So from table 256 which there was only 56 tables, by the way. So I don't know why they said 256, but nonetheless. So 56 to 36, I could sit in, which was like the back. And then you had the VIP section. So as long as I didn't sit at the VIP section, I would be good. So there was actually a lot of other tables with seats, because I got there earlier than most, like, and I was late because there was massive traffic. I guess a lot of people were late because of that. So I get there, and it's kind of like, okay, I'm sitting there for a bit. I'm talking to these guys, built something in Cape Town, yada yada. And then their buddy comes, I guess, from networking, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, man, but I was kind of sitting here." It's like, "Oh, sorry, bro, but they told me this is my seat." And then we're kind of like battling for a bit, and then finally it clicked, and they were like, "Oh, wait a sec, I think he means like they told him that, and this is what it means, and you can actually sit anywhere." And then I was like, "Oh, okay, word. All right, as long as I'm not losing my seat, bro." So they all sat down again, and then I went to the next available seat, and I went to a few tables first. I saw Paul Manuel across, so I was like, "Hey, Paul." It's like, "Oh, Jay, oh, you got a suit?" I was like, "Yeah, I didn't think I would." And he's like, "I thought you weren't coming to the gala." I was like, "Me neither," but I guess someone had other plans for me. And their table was full, so then I sat at this table, and I was like by myself, right? And everybody was already like talking and stuff. There was people that were on my left, a girl and a guy, and there was a girl and a guy on my right. So the guy on my right was talking to these other four dudes, and the girl was there, and I started talking to her, and she was like, "Okay, I'm actually like uh, his wife, so I'm just here kind of as like." So I was trying to talk about Cardano and stuff, right? And it was just kind of like this guy's wife, yada yada. Kind of could hear that there was some kind of accent, sounded like French. So, anyways, I started talking to the other girl, and before I could talk to her to figure out what they were all about, she was like, "Hey, let me propose something to you. Why don't you and me swap seats so you can sit next to this guy?" It's like, "Okay, fine." So he's deep in a conversation. So I'm like yelling across the girl that just swapped seats with me to talk to these other people that I didn't get a chance to talk to yet. And I'm like, "Hey, okay, so what do you do?" And they're building like I mean, it is what it is. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Like, I don't know if that will be successful, but what their basic pitch is that they are trying to do kind of like a DoorDash execution with blockchain, essentially. So you can order food with crypto, blockchain, somewhat. So that was kind of a cool combo. Okay, I will admit. It was a cool combo, but it was short. It was like 2 minutes, and I was yelling. They were yelling back at me because we were like kind of far away from each other. So finally, I'm like meeting this other dude who I swapped seats with the girl, and his name was uh, uh, like Damon or Damien, and he was wicked cool, man. He was like, whew, he's building like dashboard technology that's like dope. So I was talking to him for a bit, and he showed me like his thing, but it's just a side project, so I won't say the name or anything because I'm sure he's probably just like, I think he wants to make sure that it's viable before he's like, committing to it and stuff. But he showed me it, and I was impressed. Like, it had all these leading indicators of the entire Cardano, like everything that would matter in Cardano. So you had, inflows and outflows of treasury, to maybe like new SIPs, to maybe like the new research papers. If there's new research paper, you had like a really awesome dashboard that, like, for a content creator or even like someone in TradFi could look at all these different things and be like, "Okay, what's going on today?" And it was dope. So I'm talking to him, and they were from France, both him and his wife. So the French accent. And then shout out to the French, man. So anyways, I was talking to them, and then I was talking to the guys that he was talking to, and they were the people behind Cardano Scan. So Cardano Scan is the block explorer viewer that's everybody uses, right? When you like, hey, look up your transaction, right, on your wallet, Cardano Scan. So these cats were smart, and they're building two other things. You know, obviously have Typhon wallet, and then they also are building this. I think it's called Flack Finance or Flex Finance, and it's basically going to allow me as somebody in the U.S. to access fiat with crypto, but they're going to be a custodian for fiat. So I don't have to actually connect my bank account, which is probably the biggest alpha of the entire event. And I saved it for you, for the people that are watching last. And that is actually going to change things. So Basket of Currencies mobile app, if you have crypto, you can basically just pay with something with a fiat where you need to, anywhere in the world. And they'll be the custodians. Those cats are from India, and they already have Cardano scan, massive success, infrastructure play. So watch out for that. So anyways, after that, I just sat with that table because I bounced around tables a bit. And when I finally found one, I was like, oh, thank gosh, stability, finally. And there was networking. I saw Charles go to the bathroom or something. He did walk by our table, but I didn't talk to him or anything. But it was kind of funny because the wine that was being served was the easiest to drink wine. And that makes it dangerous though, I like to say. Because when wine is easy to drink, it's very dangerous. So I just had 2 glasses, and then I was like, the event was over, and people stayed, I guess, for a lot longer. There was parties and stuff, or like there was some after stuff, but I got home at like 11, dude. And I just like went to sleep. I was tired, man. So then I woke up. Yesterday was kind of cool because I just got some work done, got some stuff done, got to see Sammy again to get this suit, second suit. Came with the buy one, get one free deal. And I had more time with getting this suit with Sammy, which was nice. Then I went to this place. It was I think Pier 7. I got some shisha just by myself, just had some shisha by myself. And I had some amazing appetizers, which was great. And that was nice, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of felt like a kid, bro, like for today. And then got the suit, came back, had a chill day, made sure all my stuff is in order because today's Monday now. And then, while all that was happening, we now can talk about the last segment of the show. All right, for this portion of the Jspeak Late Night Show, I am going to change seats so I can share my screen on this nice desk provided by the hotel I'm at. So to set the stage here, all right, due to travels, I'm afraid there will be no Metaverse Monday tonight. However, I'll make it up this week at some point. Also, to anyone in the community or multiple of you, feel free to host your own Metaverse Monday space. And I meant that. This will make sense in a second. So then you scroll. I did a Twitter space, by the way, Clay's After Dark. First segment, they had me on. So thank you for that because it was a busy day. I just got to Dubai essentially. I had a day to relax, but the next day, this was at like 5 in the morning. I woke up at 3 in the morning for this, and a lot of good stuff in there. Okay, let's see what else. Oh, by the way, that quote I said earlier about the suit, I basically just thought about it, but realizing it now, I actually tweeted that November 1st before the numbers, the hidden law of probability of not wearing a suit often led me to wearing a suit when I most needed it. And that is sacred geometry of chance, the hidden law of probable outcome, the numbers lead a dance. And then the spades are the swords of the soldier, the clubs are weapons of war, diamonds money for the person's art. That's not the shape of my heart. Shape of my heart's ding. Okay, anyways. Tweeted this out, just showing appreciation for Mike, Micro Proofs and Lucas. Shout out to them. They were both recent podcast guests. These were some live videos I made from the Twitter space. All right. Okay, so here's this one. Just a quick heads up, no BS. Okay, so I run a Twitter space called No BS Radix Research Twitter space. Yeah. This week I'm at a crypto event and I haven't prepared anything for this week's episode, but I am lining some things up for next week. Stay tuned. And I was going to line up an NFT space, but then Jacob said, and I, received intel from Cheer Up Humanity. Jacob saying that he was thinking to do another Twitter space on the main account this Friday, which I thought was like last Friday, but I guess that didn't come together. And now they have one scheduled for the 10th. So Friday the 10th. Lots of guests. If the date and time works for you, would love you to be there. I said that I retweeted and I said that I would I'd reach out. So even for the No BS Radix Research Twitter space, other people can also make their own. Like, I don't care. Okay. Like, go for it. But I am going to keep doing these because I like Radix and I want to see, I like early stuff. And I think Radix, with their fees are pegged to the like a dollar, like, which is smart. I think the way that they have Cerberus is a breakthrough for sharding and consensus. I like obviously a lot of the things like like a built-in digital identity solution for wallets where you can add different fields that can eventually connect, yada yada. Okay, so this got me thinking, and I think for next week's No BS Radix Research Space, I'm going to do something a little bit different. And I am trying to get some different co-hosts, maybe from Cardano. So we'll see if they say yes. And you might have saw who I was mentioning earlier. And we do already have somebody, Daniel Friedman, who will be attending. This will make sense in a second. He's like high up in Ergo. Okay. So here's videos of me with the robot, Desi. This was not on purpose that I was zooming in there. I just had like my phone and I was talking to her face to face, I promise. You also have just that. And then my bullish tweet on Axo, some vids with Paul, yada, yada. Okay. I retweeted all the award winners. Shout out to everybody that won, man, because y'all are doing great. And here's Strika, who I was sitting with actually. Shout out to Strika. Okay. So then I get this tweet, right? And shout out to Microproofs. Definitely watch this if you haven't. But hold on one second. Okay, so this has been blown up on my notification feed the last 2 days from both Radix and Ergo. Okay. Hey, CoinMarketCap, you've now made a statement to other projects who want accurate data on CMC. Don't question us or we will make it worse. And you can read what he's referring to right here, which is it's a good statement by Ergo. But anyways, so Taserface says this would be a great space for an X space, and he added me. So, there's nobody else added. So I was like, okay, true. And I said it would, and I tagged Ergo and Radix, want to hold a space, explain this, and potential resolutions. Also, CoinMarketCap would be good, yada, yada. And then I saw this person say, I'll host it, Rush CMC. What do you say? This was after me. I already said that I would do it. BD, bullish dumpling. But anyways, I guess Ergo bit the bait there and said sure, and a lot of people rallied behind BD's tweet. So, it kind of was like, well, I was like, I responded after because this was the next day after I saw that Ergo was like, yeah, let's do it with BD. Ergo didn't respond to my tweet. Kind of feel I was in my feels. I was like, oh man. And then I was like, okay, yeah, good point, mate. Would be because he tagged me first. That's the reason. Okay. Like I don't get many people coming to me to do something big often. So when I do, I'm ready. Like I'm good. I can do that 100%. And then to see it just kind of somebody else kind of swoop in there is, you know, eh. Anyways, I said, yeah, good point, mate. Would be good to open it up to them as well, because he's mentioning the other projects that were affected by the CMC controversy. The offer is there. I'd be down to host it in my style if they want, or they can probably do it with other space hosts. Obviously, I woke up the next morning and saw that people were rallying behind another space host. Or they could not do one, which is also true. But I would probably be looking to understand the problem objectively / cool temperatures, because it's getting hot out there and I'm in Dubai. So, it's getting hotter than here. And I understand it should be hot, but a lot of people are still catching up on what the heck, why this is even happening, right? And what the real stats are and why it's affecting different blockchains and L1s that have really like amazing stuff to offer to the Web3 ecosystem. I mean, we have Ergo and Radix people reaching out. Now, it's not an issue for Cardano, by the way, but I won't go into the details why. Maybe we will in this space. Anyways, I said would probably be looking to understand the problem objectively, cool temperatures, because I did see others looking to maybe inflame the situation, which is not what I would want to do. I don't care to do that. That doesn't, whatever. Somebody else can do that. And that's kind of the point I wanted to make here, okay? Because after I was in my feels for a sec, and I was like, wait a second, bruh. You don't actually like need to feel entitled to doing this space because Taser face tagged you. First of all, this is and I said to myself, bruh, this is a sick topic, and you could put a space together even if other people say that they'll host it, because we can all host spaces. So, I mean, yeah, they can host it with Ergo. That's fine. But I also got somebody who is high up and really knows Ergo to talk on a space. And maybe they'll be on the other person that I mentioned space too. Let's see here. Bullish dumpling. So, there was a little bit of this back and forth that got heated. My style is different than hers, so that's all I'll say there. But nonetheless, it's kind of like we can both host our spaces in our own style and share this controversy. So I'm still gonna do my thing. I don't really care. It's all good. And I'm putting together a space for Friday and exchange, because I was gonna do the NFT stuff for Radix, because I haven't talked about the NFT stuff for Radix, and there's a lot of new things coming out. But because Jacob said that, they're doing a space on that, I think I'm gonna make this into like a no BS Web3 research space, frame it that way. Try to get some neutral-ish co-hosts from like ecosystem, have really respectable builders, and potentially I'm in contact with the CMO, and he's going to see if maybe peers could come on from Radix and put this together and have like a space to just kind of in a more cool way. And I don't need CMC to show up. They're more than welcome to. I don't know if they'll see this, but yeah, I'm going to host my space. They can host theirs. I don't care. And I'll still try to present this info. So, and learn about it myself, because even Charles Hoskinson, look at my profile, chimed in on the situation. Look at this. Okay. So when Charles was doing what he does, which we all love, which is in the comments, in the trenches, I'm not happy, but it shows the need for decentralized information networks and standardized rules. Small cap coins have always have trouble regardless of how innovative and novel they happen to be. I've always liked Ergo and felt it's Bitcoin's replacement. So, that's what I just wanted to say real quick. Okay, and we are done. So let me just say to wrap up here, folks, that Cardano Summit Dubai, it was the last day that I'm in Dubai filming this. Okay, I still have the day. I'm gonna post this. I might chop it up. I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of stuff in here that's valuable that I want people to see. So I hope they watch it. I just don't know if they'll watch the full thing. Like there was a guy I met at the table he came up to me and it was one of the best moments because he was like this amazing writer and he's working for the Cardano Foundation on the education side and he's writing a book on Cardano, right? And he was telling me because I always like writers because I'm a guy that talks and people think that like oh man, I read a ton of books. I listen to like books you would not think I listen to that are very widely read. That's what I'll say. Yeah, I've read them, and I listen to audiobooks. So I love writers, and though I don't like to, let's say, write myself, like I can speak a lot, but and even when I do write, it sounds like if you read what I write, it sounds like somebody's talking more so than it's like your actual writing. So I liked talking to this guy because he came up to me and complimented me for something, and he was somebody that, as I learned more about, I was like, oh shoot, I actually do know who you are. Yeah, okay, and what you're working on is kind of cool. So he actually mentioned the podcast I did with K Tours, and that was really awesome because sometimes with like a community, whether it's Web3 or a specific blockchain or a specific project, what's great about community is everybody is diverse in their skill sets, where they're from. Well, maybe not in all communities where people are from, because maybe you're born in your community, but in the context of Web3, let's just take it. Everybody's diverse. And sometimes you have people that are spouses that you're talking to, and oh, what's it like being a spouse for somebody that's, building something? Then you also are talking to like builders who are like bachelors and single and, whatever. Oh, what's that? And then you talk about, okay, what are you building? Like, okay, what are your like things like that? And then you talk to designers, you talk to artists, right? 3D modelers that build these really cool, like almost Zen-like worlds, and now they're building them for the UNCR. And you're talking to guys that were AAA game, like Paul Manuel, who worked at Unity and ran this hosting division, out of Unity, acquired by Unity first, and then was basically helped to launch like AAA titles like Apex Legends, right? Because he was in charge of scaling. They brought him on for that. So you meet people in Dubai and you come back and you visit them the following year. And I guess what I'm just trying to say is like, there's so many different ways to win. There's so many different types of people out here in the space. And it's freeing to know that. It's freeing to know that there is something for everybody. And there was a guy, Frog Dog, who used to say, if you show up, and I don't know where he is, he might have stopped showing up, but he used to say this. And I think he's right if you do it. But sometimes if you just kind of show up and listen, like for a bit, like to Twitter Spaces and things, you start to figure out where you actually fit. And it's probably not for everybody, but some people are working their full-time jobs and then they do a little dashboard on the side, right? Some people are like going full into it. Maybe they find that they're really passionate about this problem that a company is trying to solve, and they start in the Discord and then they end up working for it, and then boom, it's like now they're actually like building tools for people to build tools, you know? So I don't know, man. There's just a lot of success stories I've heard. There's a lot of people that are still figuring it out, like me, and I just wanted to share that with you, so that way you just kind of know that if you do kind of show up, if you are a little bit like, okay, here's this group, I can really like talk about these things with this group, and like I know them, and eventually you start to see which place you fit as a puzzle piece. And I hope to see you next Cardano Summit. That's what I'd say. Jspeak Late Night Show. That's why I'm wearing the suit. We'll see you next time. Peace. Grateful. Gratitude.